Quantifire. Getting started. In this video you will learn how to open Quantifire, start a new project, load products, and gain familiarity with the MTO Builder screen. Specific focus is given to the main menu options, use of zones, adding serial and custom sections, entering sections on a line-by-line basis, and generating an output report. To open the software after installation, double-click the Quantifire icon. Quantifire will validate your credentials and then ask you to log in with your username and password. Quantifire loads the permissions available to the user. Permissions are determined by your nominated administrator. The Quantifire start page offers two options, project estimation mode and play mode. Both allow the user to produce a takeoff, but play mode is intended as a shortcut, when the user may not intend to save any results. Project estimation mode should be selected when the user wants to save the output and create a report. Ensure that your region is set correctly. This sets the serial section database relative to the geographical region. We are going to start by setting up a new project. Enter the relevant information relating to the project. Note that not all boxes need to be complete, but the more you enter, the greater control you'll have in your subsequent data analytics. Projects may be split into separate packages. For this example, we'll assume that this is not relevant. The product selector shows all products available to you. They're typically split by fire test standard, then by manufacturer and then product name and its certificate reference. Products with a white background indicate its thicknesses are available in the public domain. Products with a yellow background indicate that the product resides in a private database associated with the license holder. The private database functionality is only available with certain Quantifire licenses. It allows commercially sensitive product thicknesses to be controlled and accessed by a limited set of users. Private database functionality can also be extended to users of the Quantifire external licenses. For example, a manufacturer may want to extend some of their private database products to certain applicators or fabricators to allow them to undertake their own estimates. Multiple products can be selected to allow product comparisons, but for now, let's select a single product. Now we arrive at the main estimation display, or material takeoff, MTO, Builder page. Quantifire's main menu is accessed by clicking the Quantifire logo at the top left. This allows you to access a range of settings, including the import option, creating reports, changing products, showing more input data, changing units and editing user settings. Clicking on the Edit System Costs and Application Settings allows you to set further product-specific options such as cost, loss factors and maximum application thickness. It also allows you to incorporate system information such as primers and topcoats. For this example, let's leave the settings as they are. The MTO Builder page has the user inputs displayed down the left side of the screen. These are zones, editing buttons, steel sections, critical temperature and fire resistance period. Let's start with setting some zones for our takeoff. Zones are a great way to subdivide an estimate and can make it easier for the end user to interpret. Let's enter some serial sections in the beams zone. we set the region as UK on the start screen. Therefore, the common UK serial section types are already populated here. If we wanted to change this to include other sections, we can click the button with the I-shape image. This opens the structural section selector. From here we can select from a range of common serial types used around the world. When you're ready, you can directly select the serial section you want. Alternatively, you can use the search bar to help find the section quickly. Now we've selected a section, we can verify that it's being used as a beam, and it's exposed to fire on 3 sides, or in other words it's supporting a concrete slab. Let's assume we have one beam and that it's 6 meters in length. Quantifire has a library of industry-accepted default critical temperatures to help estimators. However, for now, let's also assume that the critical temperature is set directly as 500 degrees Celsius. Once we're happy with the inputs, click on Insert Section. You can see that the section now appears on the MTO Builder page with all the relevant details under the appropriate headings. Also shown are the product-specific thickness, or DFT, dry film thickness, and the corresponding product volume or weight with respect to the surface area for protection. Now let's add the same beam, but what if we want to enter an associated surface area given to us by a client? Click on the Quantifire logo to access the main menu and change the input by option to be area. Now type in the given surface area and click Insert Section. Quantifire determines what the equivalent length of beam is relative to this area and adds it to the estimate. This length will take into consideration the number of sides exposed. Let's enter the same beam again, but this time by its weight, or rather mass. Within the main menu, change the input to be weight. Enter the weight and click Insert. Note that Quantifire determines the equivalent length and area of the member. The area calculation also accounts for the number of sides exposed. To enter a composite beam, tick the composite checkbox and select the decking type. The decking can either be re-entrant, trapezoidal with voids filled, or trapezoidal with voids unfilled. In the case of unfilled voids, the resultant DFT in this instance has been modified in line with industry guidance for the UK. As we build up the estimate, Quantifire reports the overall section quantity, length, surface area and steel mass at the bottom of the screen. Now let's put some columns into our takeoff within the columns zone. Change the input method in the main menu to be length. Note also that Quantifire uses default lengths for beams and columns which can be changed by the user. When a serial type that is commonly used as a column is selected, Quantifire automatically changes the inputs. In this case, to use as column, exposure on 4 sides, and our default height. Clicking Insert adds it to the takeoff. What if we want to add a non-standard section? For instance, a fabricated section or a serial section that doesn't appear in the Quantifire lists. Clicking on the Custom button allows the user to enter a custom or user-defined section. These can be a range of different profile types including I-shapes, hollows and beams with web openings. Together with different sides exposed to fire including partial exposure, for example, to account for sections partially encased in concrete. Further options include the addition of cruciform sections and built-up boxes, or rather, double web members. Let's enter a simple plate girder by specifying the dimensions. Quantifire automatically creates a designation for the member based on the geometrical inputs. When ready, click Quick Insert to add it to the takeoff. The Quick Insert button allows you to enter sections quickly while working in the user-defined section dialog box. Each section is assigned the inputs as per the entries on the left side of the MTO Builder screen, such as use, size, critical temperature and fire resistance period. Alternatively, click OK. The custom profile designation now appears at the bottom of the section input area. This means you can modify other inputs before clicking Insert Section. What if we want to define a member by its section factor directly? Within the user-defined dialog box, click the Custom tab. Enter the section factor. Note that either a heated perimeter or linear mass of the section is also required. This enables a length and area of the member to be evaluated. You also need to specify whether the section factor is for an open profile, for example an I section, or for a closed profile such as a hollow. Quantifire needs to know this to ensure the correct protection thickness is determined. Let's take a look at some of the controls and features available within Quantifire. The Advanced Settings option within the main menu provides you with control over certain calculation options. These are all set by default but include options relating to handling of unfilled voids of trapezoidal decking, DFT interpolation, concrete fill tubes, solid rods and bracing. Not all columns are shown by default. You can choose to display as much or as little as you want from the options in the main menu. Let's turn on the comments and the advanced section inputs. Extra information is now displayed on the takeoff. The editing buttons provide you with a lot of flexibility and power. Let's explore them a little. The scissor button allows you to delete sections and zones. The pointing hands allows you to move sections or groups of sections. The filing cabinet lets you duplicate sections or groups of sections. The sum button gives you a quick snapshot of the protection coverage, quantities, and cost of each product within the takeoff. The last two can really help an estimator to work efficiently. The pen button effectively unlocks the on-screen takeoff. The green shading indicates where you can make a manual change. For instance, we can add in some specific comments relative to a section. We might also want to quickly change a fire resistance period, some quantities and lengths. When finished editing, click the pen button again. Quantifire now recalculates everything to align with the manual changes. The last button here is the two arrows. This lets the user change sections with a lot of control. You can choose to change all sections, specific sections or sections within a zone. You can further restrict the changes to sections with certain attributes. Changes can be made to most of the key inputs that Quantifire typically permits. These include the section designation itself, the basis for the critical temperature, and a host of other options. For example, let's change the fire resistance period of all the sections. On clicking Apply Changes, Quantifire recalculates everything to align with the changes. The Change All feature is very useful for checking design options and evaluating implications for fire protection, such as protection coverage, product volume or weight, and overall cost. Now we've finished our takeoff, but we want to create a report of the output. Open the main menu and click on Create Report. Quantifire prompts you to define the revision of the report. In this instance, it's our first report, so we'll create a new revision. You can create an optional descriptor for this save. This can often help identify your work when you're dealing with lots of different jobs and revisions. Quantifire saves the job to your database and assigns it a save ID. The save ID is a unique identifier reference. Every single revision of a job is given its own save ID. This is to ensure traceability of work. There are a number of options available to you. Let's take a review of some of the key features. The output reports will display the project information that we entered when we set up the project. It also auto-populates aspects such as the revision number and the save ID reference. These can, however, be overwritten if needed. We are going to create a bill of quantities, or BOQ report. This will be the main report and will display the thickness and amount of fire protection required for each section. We will also tick the box to create a technical basis schedule. This is a supplementary report and allows you to provide additional detail that might otherwise overcrowd a BOQ report. If not made in the first instance, technical basis schedules can always be created at a later date. We only have one product in this example, but if more products were being considered, you can choose which one to display on the report. You can also choose which columns to show. A suggested default set is shown, but you can modify this to suit your needs. This may include information relating to primers, topcoats, mesh, cost, and wastage. Notes are an important aspect of any takeoff. They provide the reader of the final report with extra clarity, information, or assumptions. Quantifire provides a set of common notes which can be set on or off automatically based on the content of the takeoff. You can also enter your own custom notes for inclusion on the report. The language of the report can be changed as required. We will leave it as English for this example. Finally, you have control over the display of the report, including a thousands separator, displaying your company logo, and changing decimal place accuracy, and text font size. When ready, click Create Report. The bill of quantity fire protection schedule is now shown. This can be printed to PDF for distribution to an end user. You also have the option of exporting the content of the takeoff to an Excel sheet. This can be useful when an end user needs to transfer the resultant information for their own analysis. We recommend that when a spreadsheet version is sent to an end user, it is sent together with a PDF of the original bill of quantities report. Finally, let's review the technical basis output. This is intended as supplementary information to the bill of quantity report and should not be read in isolation. It can provide clarity and transparency for the contract chain. In this example, we can see whether beams have been considered as being composite or non-composite, what sort of decking has been considered, whether the voids are taken as filled or unfilled, which members are considered as bracing elements, and what the basis of the critical temperature is. Had a different basis of temperature been selected, an associated occupancy classification may be shown. Alternatively, had a structural utilization been the basis, then its type and magnitude would be clearly indicated. The content of this report can be tailored by the user, but it is worth noting that the bill of quantities report can also be tailored to show some or all of the same information. The choice of what to show rests with the estimator, but we recommend that as much information as possible is provided together with the bill of quantity report. This concludes the Getting Started tutorial. We hope that it's provided you with an overview of the software and has helped to guide you in undertaking an estimation project. There are many features that were not covered within this video, such as the bulk importability, critical temperature assessments, cellular beam analysis, the optimization module, product comparisons, hydrocarbon estimation, and understanding reporting analytics. Each of these features is covered in depth in the Quantifire user guide and the quick start guides. Alternatively, look out for our other walkthrough videos to gain more understanding.